this is the time capsule presentation on April 11th, 2024. Just show you the cast of characters here. So going around, yeah, that's what we've got, yeah. So, okay, Pram, do you want to take us through your thoughts?
Yes. Okay, so the year is 2045, the year that the technological singularity is predicted. And so our idea is that we're going to be developing a time capsule with like all of the LABMP classes to open in that year. And hopefully all of our predictions and the items that we have in there are very shocking in that year, because that's the year we expect to see a lot of changes, and hopefully the things in the time capsule are like ancient history to us, and maybe our children or grandchildren, I don't know how old everyone is here, but yeah, so just to give a little bit of a background, so our idea is to make a time capsule and put it in the attic that Dr. Solis has in one of his houses, and we're going to make it in like a weatherproof box. And so some items that we're planning to have is items collected over the years from people in this class, and then also some items that Dr. Solis has in his like storage units. For example, you find some really interesting trinkets in there that you haven't seen before, so it's really nice to include those as well. And we also would like to have some like predictions about what the future will look like in that year, so that when we open it again during that time, perhaps we'll see who's right and maybe what we kind of messed up on. Because it's really interesting, for example, when you see people from 1980 or something predicting, oh, what 2020 will be like, and then they're like way off, they're like flying cars. We definitely don't have flying cars yet, but yeah, so I think it's a really interesting project, and we're a really good group of people to be doing this, because we actually care about the future and what technology will look like. And hopefully I'll have your contact information, so I'll see you in 20-ish years for this. But yeah, I wanted to go around and see if anyone has things to contribute to the time capsule, and also if you have any like suggestions for what we might go out and purchase, or what future kids can bring in, or maybe like even changing the year we open it. Like, is 2045 a good year? I've been thinking about that. I'm like, is it like 20 years? Like, seems a bit close, right? But I don't know. We'll hear your thoughts, and we'll kind of go around in a circle. And if you already brought something in, you can like hold it up and explain what you did, and we'll probably watch this video back in 20 years as well, because I'm planning on printing out CDs or something to store in there. So yeah, we'll go around. You can start.
So, yeah. So the thing that I brought is a small notebook from actually the year length.
Oh.
So yeah, my idea is that you can write messages for our future stuff.
Yes.
Or like predictions about the future, so everyone can contribute to that.
Yeah.
I can put it there and see what will change, whether we will have still like physical books in the future, or just digital stuff.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's my idea. So I don't really know how we can do that. I think there are a lot of things that we could put inside the time capsule. But I don't know about the feasibility of that. So it would be cool to have a plethora of different digital devices from now or from previous years. So I think about like the Nokia from the 90s, and that's like a good comparison to what we have now. So I expect something more shocking in the future. That can be kind of technologies to work there. But yeah, that's all that I have to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll say that's a really good one to have, because we don't have any like notes or letters from anyone yet. So I think it's good if we have like a book, and like maybe the next group of kids can like take it home and like write something, and then we have it all in one spot. And then also the phones is a really good idea. So I've been like collecting like my mom's like old like flip phones and stuff, and I've been putting it in a box, and I have like some cracked like iPhone 5C, iPhone 6S, like all of my like broken devices, so I've been putting those together as well. So yeah, that's a really good one too. But yeah, so that's a really good contribution. I'll pick that up from you after class if that's okay.
I like the broken devices as well to add because my dad was very into tech like growing up and he keeps everything and like so it's fun like for us to go like 30, 40, 20 years ago and see what he has. Like it's fun to see it in person, like even if you already know about it. I did estimate also paper. It has like basically things that are going on now and my thoughts, what's gonna happen and like my thoughts on the course. I put like headlines from 2024 and then links to it, but when I put the links, I did like a QR code and then I realized like because of data storage and stuff, I don't know if they're gonna be able to access them in 20 years.
Yeah.
And if they even like, it made me think like what if they don't even, like what if QR codes don't work or like web pages don't exist. So I just put a little note about that and like some questions about like where we're at compared to where like it might be. And yeah, it's just like, and then I left some space for 2045 to comment on if they can still write and read. I don't know. That was a question I put in there too. I'm like, maybe they don't know how to write and read anymore.
Might not be very good training in cursive, right? What is cursive? Never heard of it.
Yeah, so like as I was writing, a lot of questions came up. I was like, wait, like in 20 years, because like with Moore's law, how everything's advancing so quickly, and like we have the language processing model that writes for us, and like, are we slowly gonna lose the ability to like read and write? I know a lot of people already with like Grammarly and autocorrect are like struggling with spelling because they're so used to like it being corrected automatically. So yeah, it just has a bunch of questions for the future and my thoughts, I guess.
So don't you think that as time goes on, having a 20-year time capsule seems more exciting now than it did just a couple of years ago? You know, a couple of years ago you would have said, well, geez, maybe not much is going to occur in 20 years. And now we're thinking that, like, Elon Musk has said that he thinks AGI will occur by the end of 2025, so next year, you know, and so on. So 2045, we could imagine that the world is dramatically altered, you know? And so that's why I think the fact that the loft of my 4-car garage does not require electricity, right? And it has natural light and so on. So no matter what happens, no matter who's in charge, you presumably still get there, you can still do things, you can still get up the ladder and so on, yeah. So you can also think about this course. You may think that, you know, this course will always exist or, you know, will always be the same. But it's not just the question of what will happen to me, but also where I might be, right? So like, I can imagine that there is a significant chance, you know, I started the LABMP classification, the strong association between me and LABMP. So if an opportunity for a full-time job came up at the University of Calgary, I'd be that much closer to LABMP, right? So, and I think this course would continue, you know, it sort of has history and legacy here, so it would continue to be here, but maybe a younger person would be running it here, and old Dr. Solis would run a similar course at the University of Calgary, you know, so there are things like that could also happen. And you may wonder whether the whole Solis clan would move. I don't think so. I think that my wife and kids and so on would not move to Calgary, and I'd probably just have an apartment there and spend part of the time there and part here. You know, so I think we probably have more natural affinity But there are lots of things like that that might happen. So that's another thing that makes these videos and makes the time capsule more interesting. They could be preparing a younger person for running this course here if I went somewhere else, right? So and give them some idea of what the spirit and ethos of the course was like. Yeah. So, other thoughts?
Yeah, so well, I'll talk about what I'm gonna bring. So it's this little painting here, and it's more personal than it is like, if someone else were to look at this, they're like, okay, it's like a painting of a girl. But I got this painting from, her name was Dr. Piccoli, but she was, when I was in France, me and two of my cousin and a friend of ours, we went to France for a month through this course. And our main supervisor, her name was Dr. Piccoli, and she kind of supervised us through our whole, through our whole like not practicum, but process of being in France and our whole studying thing, our research. But towards the end of our time there, she gave all of us a painting, and it had there was no meaning to any of them. She just she had 4 or 5 paintings, and she goes, "You guys choose which one speaks to you the most." So I chose this one, and she has one also for Dr. Soles, but we keep forgetting to give it to him.
Well, I haven't seen it yet.
No, but we'll get it to you eventually. But yeah, and I thought that it has a lot of meaning to this course, because this course is the reason why I went to France and met Dr. Piccoli and therefore got this picture. So yeah, and I mean, painting in general, I feel like, I don't know, in 20 years when someone sees this, they're like, how was it done? I don't know if how familiar people are going to be with painting. I mean, I'm assuming it's still going to be a thing, but you don't know what's going to happen in 20 years, so yeah.
So, Simon, any thoughts about the
I think
time
we
capsule?
were talking about Moore's law and stuff, and I think I've heard that civilizations generally, they progress in an exponential way, not a linear way. That means that at the beginning it's pretty flat, and once we get on that kind of more vertical curve, things happen really quickly. So I think that might be why Elon Musk thinks in literally a year we could go from no AGI to AGI. I guess he thinks we're really on that vertical curve. So that means 20 years from now we're still on that vertical curve. We're really what's it going to be like? So I brought wireless headphones, thinking that in the future, how will we enjoy music and sound? With Neuralink, will we directly get the sound into our temporal brain area, right? Will the sound be there? So,
yeah, and are we still using words, or can we communicate via thoughts?
Exactly.
Think of how much more efficient it would be to communicate via thoughts. But then how would
That's
you
dangerous.
protect the thoughts that you don't want to be communicating?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
exactly. How?
so anyway, but when DALL-E 2 was first new, I was playing with it a lot of its depictions of the future clearly had that kind of communication through thought.
Yeah.
So that might be a real thing. Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate this very much. Maybe I'll just focus on the balloons for a little bit, because I discovered some things about them. So, what I used to do, which was difficult, was to get students to take them all away after the session and take them home and so on. And first few times that kind of sort of worked, but then we had some resistant balloons that nobody seemed to want to take home. So then I understood that there's a daycare center close to the balloon store, and you can bring the balloons back and they take it to the daycare center. The kids play with it. Well, that sounded pretty good. But there's something even better. They've gotten enthusiastic about this course, and they were asking me all sorts of details about it today, and they're willing to take the letters and the numbers, the LABMP 590, to take those back and take the helium out of them and then just save them up until we need them again. That's much cheaper than.
Yeah.
You know, it's like $18 per letter when they're new, but if you're just refilling it, it's only $5. Yeah, so it really reduces the cost of the whole enterprise. And they enjoy that more. They say that actually the daycare kids don't like all balloons equally. Like ones that are just letters and numbers are not terribly interesting for them. Yeah, so that's kind of
That's so kind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're making some progress there. So tell me then about the course itself. Let me describe what I did this year. I decided that in the previous 2 terms, I had done a lot of the lecturing, right? And some of it was quite spontaneous. I'd get an idea of a video I wanted to do and give that to the class and so on. But it was very Kim-centric, right? And it doesn't seem quite fair to the students to get so much content from me. And there are all these people who could teach you about AI. So this year, I contacted people that I hadn't asked for a long time, and they said yes. So we ended up with like 8 AI lectures rather than the usual 5. And I think that's a good idea. It makes the course more credible than a course where, you know, Kim Sola is giving most of the lectures and they're about whatever he wants to talk about on a certain day. And it doesn't sound very organized, whereas having all these professional AI lecturers talk seem like a much better plan. But I still think that we need to make sure the course continues to reinvent itself every term. Particularly because a lot of the students want to hang in there and keep helping us with the course. And if it's just redundant, the same content over and over, that's not going to be very much fun for them. Whereas if they sense that even though they took the course recently, there's a lot of stuff we're talking about now that we never had in the course before. And yeah, so anyway, we're going to try to keep that happening. And originally, the course was going to be tightly linked to a book that I was writing. I think that will really be true in the future. Like, it's fairly easy with a poetry book. I already have a lot of the poetry written. It's sort of fun for me to write poetry. And you don't have to explain everything in a poem. Part of it's left to the reader, right? So, yeah, so I could easily do that kind of book related to the course. And I think it'd be win-win for everybody. It would create a natural interest if then I wrote a serious or a semi-serious book that wasn't poetry. What would that, contain? And then I could do such a book later. And I think the idea then was, if I'm actively writing the book at the same time as the course, that the students would feel that they're actively engaged and helping with the book, which would also be fun. And if you if you watch the focus groups that we did in May of 2011, we actually talked about that. So yeah, so maybe in fall 2024 and winter 2025 we'll actually be doing that. Yeah, and I think that one problem with life right now today, I think, is a lot of the questions that may come to you about being important, about your future, don't seem to be a part of anything organized that you're doing, right? So this course allows you to take those like existential questions of where is humanity going, actually get credit for stuff that you might do in that area. So there probably wasn't much of a need for that when we started. I mean, people didn't feel, they knew that life was going to be pretty much the same as it's always been for human beings. And, you know, nothing much changes year to year. And then suddenly all this crazy AI stuff started happening. So, yeah. And we need positive voices, even if they're wrong, right? So suppose all the positive things that I've been telling you is wrong. It's still good that you heard it, because think of how depressed you would be if all the voices were negative, right? Even if the negative voices are more correct than my positive voices, it's still good for you to have them both, right? Yeah, so, and I think it's going to turn out that I'm more right than the negative people. And you know, we don't have to force things. Like, we don't, if somebody, when they teach here, propose that they and we debate, and then if nothing comes of that, we don't have to like follow them around and say, hey, you still want to do? No, we can just leave them alone. But it's kind of fun when that stuff happens, you know. It seems meaningful, right? And eventually it will seem like we had significant influence over what, you know, direction things were going, because nobody else dared to like think that big, and, right? So it's, well, you know, just consider this specific project here, and, you know, something little confined, yeah, rather than kind of where is the whole human race going. So right now, like for a due date of tomorrow, I'm writing for a publication, lecture notes in artificial intelligence, and writing about the idea of AI helping to completely solve the organ shortage. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now, kind of thing.
I'm just curious, like you mentioned, like poetry you can leave some things out, on another book you can't leave things out. Is that like the fact that you want to be comprehensive, or you think like the editor in the end will be like, no, this book's not good enough, you're kind of hiding stuff? Where does that come from?
No. I think that I don't want to decide too quickly what the final conclusions or the final messages of the serious book are. And I think maybe it's not best to make that decision in 2024. I think maybe we can wait until the end of 2025 and see if Elon Musk is right. If, you know, everything I see outside is unrecognizable because, you know, machines are in charge now, or 2025 actually looks a lot like 2024. So it would make sense to do the serious book, you know, in a year and a half from now. But I can start working on the poetry book right away. And in a sense, I have the video that you and I have just done. It's kind of that. Yeah, and then trying to figure out, I think it's sort of a good metaphor for trying to figure out whether your life is consequential for the rest of humanity, or whether you're just this little unimportant peon that has no agency, no influence over anything, is to look at Shauna Panya's life and try to figure out whether she is heavily impacting, the rest of us or not. I think she probably is. And so if she is, I think maybe I am too, maybe you can too. So I wouldn't give up on the idea that each one of you could really have a major impact. Because you began with the idea that it's possible, right? Most people every day, they start and end the day with the idea that they have no agency at all. They're just sort of pushed around by these larger forces in the world. Just hope that life doesn't get too bad. And forces that they can't control aren't too cruel and so on. Where this course kind of teaches you that you can actually, change the future direction, make it more positive than humanity's trajectory otherwise would have been, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So, another thing that's happened, I haven't revealed this to you guys, but it's pretty simple. When COVID began, I was afraid that the course would be canceled. Nobody knew what the rules were, right? There was this terrible infectious disease that nobody understood and so on. So I wrote to Dean Hemmelgarn and asked her to teach in the course. And she immediately said yes. But I can't do it right now because, this COVID thing going on, I've got a lot of extra tasks and so on. But if you think about it, it's not just her timetable that determines whether she can teach. We can't have her teaching in the course when there are only 2 or 3 students taking the course. That doesn't make any sense, right? So there would have to be a larger number of students taking the course. And I think it's a nice thing to sort of aim for. It's something we've been looking forward to since, February, March 2020, when I first asked her to teach a course, and she said yes, right? So if we ever have a situation where a lot of students are enthusiastic about taking the course at the same time, we've had as many as 14 students in the course. That's the highest we've ever had. And if we got close to that, even with 10 or 12, that would be fine. I just don't want her in a room where she thinks, I should be somewhere else because I'm the dean and there are only, 2 or 3 people here. So recently, she wrote to me and said that she doesn't need to be receiving the notices about every teaching session. Because up until then, she was like the only senior person who got the same message you guys got. She got it too, every time. She was always there. And I was so proud that she didn't say, take me off the list. She didn't for years and years and years. But I think now she feels, as I feel, that we don't really need her protection anymore. The course is not going to be canceled. It will continue. It has momentum and so on, and the times are more normal now. So she doesn't need sort of this unseen force behind the course. But when her renewal as dean came up, it's funny, they talked to full-time senior faculty, like at the full prof level, said, can you write a recommendation for the dean? And I wrote how quickly she accepted teaching in the course, how important that was to my, spirit and feeling about the future. Yeah, so, so now we're sort of, if you think about it, it doesn't change things all that much, but it does mean that we could have another third phase. Like the first phase was I asked her to teach a course, started copying her on the information about every teaching session, right? She gets hundreds of emails every day, and one was usually from me. Well, now that's stopped. But if we had enough students in the course, so it was rational for her to actually teach in the course, then once again I could be sending her stuff about the course because she's now actually teaching in the course. So I'd be happy to be doing that too. Yeah. So very good. Well, do you guys have other thoughts about the way in which the course could be improved, or yeah? What is your...
I'm just curious, like, would you guys tell your friends about this? Or like, the thing is, like, I can think of 3 reasons. I think the course is just not marketed that well. Like 3 reasons why someone would take it. Like, I found this course because on Reddit someone said, it's the easiest course ever, easiest A. So in terms of just on paper, I'm looking for the A, I need a GPA booster, there it is. And there's those that generally just want a different experience and want to talk about the future. And there's like the third group that, who cares, like it'll just join. I think like we can make a Reddit post or something, like, but at the same time, it's also fun to have like a secret course like that no one knows about. That's also like more of a selfish thing, right? Like, I don't want anyone to know how good this course is. But yeah, I think like if you create a Reddit post and something like the most amazing U of A course, you won't believe it. Even if you hate the subject, you'll get a good grade. If you love the subject too, then it's a win-win. It's a great change of pace compared to like normal lectures, right? Like it's kind of a breather. Like you see it on your schedule, like, oh yeah, I got LABMP 590. I can breathe for a little bit. It's not like a hardcore sit in a lecture hall. And
yeah.
So,
yeah, and I mean, think about the way it began as a university course. So it was sort of a CME course, not an official university course, in fall of 2011. But in the winter of 2012, it was a university course the first time. And so we had 2 students, Ashlyn Bernier, who's a fairly well-known person now, and then a second student taking the course. That second student took the LRT to get here, and there was a paper that they gave out on the LRT that you could buy ads in, and a single day cost $520. Anyway, so I put an ad for the course in that paper on a certain day. The student calls me and says he wants to join the course. But I had this crazy feeling that I was going to have to pay $520 for every student in the future because that's the only way to get students. But yeah, I never did that again. I didn't repeat that experience. But we did have posters, and I'd be carrying around these large stacks of posters. And as I became better known and the students knew more about the course, they'd see me putting up the posters and saying, it's like seeing Wayne Gretzky put up a Wayne Gretzky poster. The weirdest thing. Yeah, so I don't know, my thoughts about that, I just don't feel that that's a sort of 2024, 2025 way to promote the course. Yeah.
I have 2 ideas, but I feel like I do like how small this class is, and I feel like if we implement it, it might actually become a huge course. I think a lot of science, undergraduate science students would be interested in this course. So tabling in CAP or CSIS and telling people about the course, I think would get a lot of people to join, especially if like students who have taken it are telling them you should take this course. Because I speak about this course all the time, and I think some of my friends have reached out to you already, but a lot of them, the initial reaction is like, oh my god, that's a 500 level class, that's terrifying, I don't want to take it, like I'm scared.
Yeah.
So maybe even doing, because you already have a lot of subscribers on the YouTube channel, so having maybe like a short video with students who have taken the course, explaining their experience in the course, and then uploading that, so that students who are interested and find it on Reddit or on the Bear Tracks can like find out more information about it quickly and easily and kind of like pique their interest.
But you know, if you look at Ashlyn Bernier's promo from 2012, it's still true today what she says, and it's so convincing. You know, like there are 2 highly watched videos that she's done. She did an interview with the current university president right after he was installed, and then that promo for this course. And those are like the 2 peak experience at Ashland Berger videos. So in a sense, it already exists. You could just use that. And I think it probably shouldn't be me actually doing it, right?
No, I think like the TAs or past students promoting it, I think speaks like loud to other students.
Yeah.
Can you just like talk about this really quick? So if you go on Reddit, there's some posts that are like, please take this course if you need a high GPA. And I think some are like EAS or like some psych course or whatever, and so those are like the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this could easily be that go-to, but then are you worried like those aren't the students that you would want to be in the course? But then
there is an interview too.
Oh, there is an interview, right? So you would interview
no, they have to be interviewed.
Okay.
I thought recently, like we went through a period of having really aggressive males taking the course, just really for a half year. But that was kind of unpleasant, like a course for jocks or something like that, you know. So I'm not sure I would really want that. But
I think, like, to add on to you, Reddit is like really popular among students right now.
Right.
Like, every student's looking on Reddit, like specifically if there's a course that a student like is looking to take and like, oh, like maybe I want to take this, they'll go straight to Reddit first to see what have other students said about that course. So I know that for a fact Reddit is like you said, like it
which
is a
prompt
like,
to avoid, you know.
All 4 of us just put a post and there's 4 up there saying, please take this course.
And not just
there's gonna be like at least
but
you're gonna get lots.
so. Like if we talk about the course too, because like when I tell people about this course, like, oh yeah, it's like a advancement of technology in medicine, they're like, what? How are you taking that?
Too technical, right?
Yes, like they're like, well, how are you a TA in this course? Like, are you in medicine? You're no, like you're in education. Like, how is this? And I'm like, listen, like it's not, like it's not some doctoral, like big, complicated course. Like it's interesting, it's fascinating, and I think that's what we need to like put in that Reddit post, like talk about like what the course is about, like what, you know, and not just.
Well, here, I think it's fairly easy. Why don't the 4 of you do this? Pram already did it, right? Pram did a Reddit course.
Okay.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Do we just need
Twice.
a comment on that one? Like upvote it? Like,
I think I got like 7 upvotes on each.
it's literally like a series of TED Talks that we have. You know what I'm saying? Like no other place has a series of expert TED Talks that come in, and who wouldn't want to sit in on that?
And
you know?
like I share them with my family and friends, all like the videos, and they like actually watch them and they're like, wow, that's so interesting. And my brother actually is a student at Columbia doing the computer science, and he's like, I wish we had this course at Columbia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, no, I'm proud that this is a kind of course that doesn't really exist anywhere else, and it's not that I tried to make it that way, but that's just how it turned out. Yeah, so that's what I would like. I would like the 4 of you to all do Reddit posts and see. And so the aim then is to get a reasonable number of students taking it for fall 2024. And it would be nice if there were enough students to ask the dean to teach, and I think it's quite possible that might happen. Yeah, so, yeah.
Another thing is that there's a lot of like student interest groups, like AI and medicine interest group, or like certain engineering interest groups, and so I think if we talked to the students on there, and then maybe did like a small presentation for them, or just asked them to like advertise it, then that's already like a group of students that are like interested, like this is something that they're passionate about, so it kind of reached the right audience, and it's also like something we can easily do. Like some of us are already on those clubs, so it's
Yeah, even like class talks before, like some classes that are related.
Yeah.
They do that a lot, like they'll come do a presentation quickly before class.
Oh, yeah, what is that? Yeah, I remember that. So are those clubs or are they?
I've never seen it done for a course, but I don't see why not.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, why not?
usually clubs, or if there's a research
Yes.
opportunity, like someone will come and promote it,
true.
like to like a class, especially like second year courses where it's like 200 people in the lecture hall.
Things when you see this on Bear Tracks, LABMP, it's already like, oh, like what is this? Like detailed
Is there a
pathology.
lab? Like
590, it's graduate. I had
Right,
trouble
right.
explaining to my
No,
my
I know that.
Yeah.
person,
But
they're like,
see,
what's happening?
I think that it has enough legacy of success and so
Yes.
on, and we don't need to change the name.
Oh no, we don't need to. I'm just saying those are
This-
intrinsic things that make it more exciting, like a hidden gem. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's like,
yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
exciting. That's nice.
No, I think that's, like, what I feel is that a couple of years ago, we started appealing to a new group of students who are basically here to enjoy themselves, right? They're looking for cool courses to take. They may never get A's. They like B's. B's are perfectly good, you know? Perfectly good grade. Why wouldn't you be happy with that? And so they're really motivated in a whole different way from the Peter Lougheed leadership course people. You know, in the beginning there was tremendous overlap. There were both students taking this course who were in the Peter Lougheed leadership course, but also later on some of them started teaching in the course, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of this high performance, and some of those students are so amazing. They do like the best paper, best presentation from that term, but almost immediately they'd say, oh, Dr. Solis, take it down, because I'm improving personally so quickly that I would never do a video that bad. Now, you know, I'm much better now, so please take it down. Okay. Yeah. But these students who are just here to have fun are completely different from that. I think their lives may be more satisfactory in a way. They're not so pressured and gung-ho and, oh, take down my video even though it's the best one because I'm capable of doing so much better now, and yeah, we can't have anybody seeing that, yeah. So, no, it's fine. I'm happy with both kinds, yeah, and like we've quite frequently had the student who received the lowest grade in the class be the most enthusiastic about being a TA and helping and continuing to help us for years and years, and they enjoyed it so much, you know, and yeah, it just shows that, you know, life isn't the same for everybody, you know. So, anyway, okay, so I think that, yeah, it's 10:03. I think I will let you off early, and thank you for taking part in this session. Thank you for the Reddit posts you're going to do, and yeah, well, that's good. And you know, you may find some of what I said today about the future surprising, but I guarantee you there'll be even more surprising things happening. So, yeah, That's just the nature of a course about the future. It's full of surprises. Yeah. Okay, that's it for today.
All right.
Yeah, no